Hey everybody, I'm Shaq.
I'm Harrison.
I love to cook.
And I love to eat.
Welcome to Cooked with Shaq. Are you ready to go? Are you ready to start? Anytime? Okay, let's start. Another edition of Cooked with Shaq. I'm Shaq, he's Harrison. As you saw, my dog Lucy is the sous chef today. Not exactly sure what she's going to be doing, probably just sitting around and waiting for things to fall on the ground.
That's right.
But today, you know what, we're going to do something a little different. Usually we have, well, we're going to give you a couple of recipes, but it's more of a cooking technique show today. Cooking technique. Now, there's all kinds of different techniques for cooking. There's boiling, there's braising, there's barbecuing, there's searing, there's smoking, there's whatever you want to do with meat. There's and you can roasting, there's you name it, you can roast vegetables. There's so many different ways to cook something. Today, we're going to do two methods, and they're both low and slow.
Oh,
so,
yes.
But one, you can have a nap while it's cooking.
I like that one.
That one's good.
That one's good.
The other one, you gotta hang around because that's the way it is, okay? So we're gonna do two things. We're gonna start off with risotto. Have you ever had risotto before?
Oh, yes. I like risotto. Yes.
Love risotto. We're gonna do a mushroom risotto, and there's a definite cooking technique to that.
All right.
Then we're going to do something called, well, have you ever heard of sous vide before? Sous vide? It is basically a cooking technique that is very low and slow, where you have a mechanism that keeps water temperature exactly the same constantly. You can put in a cold steak and it will warm up the water enough to get it back to that point again, and it'll keep it that way, and that's how you cook. And now you can cook your steak to whatever doneness you want. You can let it go for 3, 4 hours, 5 hours, 8 hours you want, if you want it nice and tender. Lots of different ways to do this. So I can't afford it. I mean, the sous vide, literally, the sous vide thing that you get is pretty expensive.
Thanks for being honest.
You know, I don't, okay, not that I can't afford it, it's just that
cheap.
Just say it.
He's cheap.
Mic drop. Mic drop right there. I'm cheap.
It's okay.
So I have come up with a way, and I'm sure a lot of people have figured this one out too. I'm not the purveyor of cheapness. There are other cheap people too.
Right.
So we're going to do my version of the sous vide, which is basically using a Ziploc bag and some boiling water. How's that? Huh?
Sounds like my budget. It's in the budget for sure.
All right, so we're going to do that later on in the show, but we're going to start off with the risotto. So what you're going to want is a pot, regular size pot, and you're going to want a good dollop of butter in there to start things off. You're going to get,
that's the best way to start.
And always use a wooden spoon with risotto. Don't use a metal spoon. Don't use a plastic spoon. Use a wooden spoon. I have no idea why. That's what they tell me. Okay.
Really?
So anyway, we're going to put in a little bit of butter. Let that melt down. And while that's melting down, we are going to take an onion, slice up that onion a little bit. We're going to chunk it up. This is mushroom risotto that we're making.
Oh, it's going to be so good.
Very good. Now, the great thing about risotto is that if you have leftovers, have you ever had arancini balls, Harrison? Arancini balls?
No.
These are made out of leftover risotto.
Oh.
Now what you do is once the risotto is cold and in the fridge, once it's kind of stiffened up, you take it. You're off beat, man. You're off, okay.
We need a metronome. We need a metronome.
Obviously, we're not metronomians.
We're way off.
Where was I? Arancini balls.
Yes.
Arancini balls.
Something
now what
balls.
you do is you take the risotto, you make a little patty, and you stick a piece of mozzarella in there, and then you form it into a ball so that mozzarella is inside. Then what you do is you take egg, beat it up a little bit, roll it around in the egg, and then put it in panko breadcrumbs.
Okay.
And you can either air fry it or you can deep fry it. And then you serve that baby up with some marinara. Oh, it is so good. Anyhow, that's then. This is now. So now what we're gonna do is take our onions that we've just freshly chopped up, get them all in there. I know you're gonna start crying.
You know my eyes are sensitive. We've been doing this for years now.
I've got drops if you want drops. I can give you some drops.
Might need them.
Okay. So that's all done like that. Good. Now, just until they're nice and translucent, you don't have to overdo it. Now, what we're going to also do is take, this is kind of, again, technique. We're not going to boil the rice. We're going to leach the starch out of the rice. So with risotto, you have to have a special kind of rice called arborio rice, arborio.
Okay.
And it's very starchy. It's kind of like pearl rice. So that's what you're going to need for risotto. So what you're going to do is we got the butter and the onions going. You're going to put the rice right in there. And you're going to let that go. Again, until the rice starts to get a little bit translucent. So that'll just go for a bit. So you're thinking, okay, where's the water? Well, there is no water in risotto. There is white wine.
Ooh.
And
Fancy.
there is chicken broth. Now, the chicken broth always has to be hot, okay? The reason why is because the heat will leach the starch out of the risotto. And the reason why I say it's leaching the starch out, and you go, well, what does that mean? Well, it's forming its own sauce as you're stirring. But that's why with risotto, you have to be here all the time because it'll suck up all that liquid.
Yeah.
And then it'll dry out. So you have to keep adding until it is literally done. So we start the arduous task of doing the liquid. So now we're going to take a cup of wine, white wine, preferably a more dry wine, and please, again, no cooking wine that you buy at the grocery store.
No.
Go with the wine that you like. Go with the wine that you'll eat, or you'll drink rather. Okay, so that goes in there. Now, right away you want to start stirring that in. You want to bring the temperature to about medium. Bring it down. See, you can already tell. See, it's already. You can see how that wine is bringing the starch out of the rice. Now, we're just going to let that go until it starts to dry. So you can let it sit for a minute, but don't go
away.
Grocery shopping or change a tire on your car. Or, you don't want to do that.
Don't be sleeping like Lucy over here.
Exactly. Don't be, having a nap. This is where you want to just keep on making sure that is like that. But you can go over here and you can kind of tidy up a little bit. We're going to need mushrooms for this recipe. So what we're going to do is just chop up some mushrooms. We're going to do it the easy way.
Okay.
So we'll just drop a few in there. Just like that, because you don't want big slices in there anyway, right? You want the mushroom flavor and a little bit of mushroom in there, but nothing too serious. So, all right, ready? Here we go.
Are we going to be on time?
Yeah, let's go. And 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a little fast. I'm done already. Look at that. That's the fastest mushroom chopping I've ever seen.
That was really fast.
That was quick.
You chop a lot of mushrooms.
That's
like
a
just
lot
like
of mushrooms there. Okay, look at this. And just in time, because we are now just about ready for the first installment of the chicken broth. Now there is 5 cups of chicken broth. Believe you me, this will soak up 5 cups of chicken broth.
Is this
plus the rice?
Is this
or the
homemade
wine.
chicken broth? Do you do your own chicken
This
broth?
is my homemade chicken broth.
Nice.
But you don't have to. You don't have to do your own.
But it's so nice to have the homemade chicken broth.
It is nice, but you don't have to, especially if you're making risotto. It's not like you're making a soup, right?
True,
if you're making a soup and that's your own chicken broth, you can brag it up.
Yeah.
But when it's in risotto, nobody cares, right? So anyway. So we're gonna start just a little bit at a time, maybe about a half a cup, and keep stirring and stirring and stirring and stirring and adding liquid and stirring and stirring And stirring. And stirring. And stirring. And stirring. And garlic.
Garlic. I like garlic.
Yeah,
Garlic's good.
There we go.
Good one, Shock. Yeah, add some of that in there.
And stirring.
That's good.
And stirring. And stirring. And we are finally done stirring, Harrison.
Oh,
Harrison.
yes.
We're done.
We're done.
Look at
We're
that.
done.
Okay, so believe it or not, that little cup and a half of arborio rice soaked up 1 cup of wine and 5 cups of chicken broth.
Well,
you go.
With all that stirring, you'd think you would.
But you're not done yet. But see, now it's made its own little sauce. It's got its own sauce and buttery. Now, we're not done yet because we're going to put in the mushrooms.
Okay.
Mushrooms go in. I've already kind of pre-fried them. So give them a little butter, a little salt and pepper, and then just get those mushrooms in there like that. And I'll just put that over here. So now we'll get through the dishes later, right? So we're going to get the mushrooms in there. And then what we're going to do, as you always do with risotto, is you take your Parmesan cheese. Fresh Parmesan cheese, freshly grated Parmesan cheese. I mean, if you really want to use the stuff in the bottle, sure, why not? Again, same with the chicken broth, right? If you have homemade chicken broth, great. If you don't, it's risotto. Just have fun. So anyway, we're going to dump.
Yeah. Go for
The
it.
whole thing goes.
Sure.
We're going to put the whole thing in there. Stir that in. And I'm telling you right now, there's nothing better. And you can put whatever you want. It doesn't have to be mushrooms. You can make a seafood risotto. You can make a vegetable risotto with leeks or anything like that you want. Sun-dried tomatoes, whatever you want, you can put in there. And there it is. Kind of looks a little bit like rice pudding, but I'll tell you, it is so good. There's risotto right there. So we're done the risotto. We're going to get to our next technique, which is the, well, shall we say, the cheap man's sous vide. That's on Cooked with Shaq next.
Sponsored by Sask Pork. Saskatchewan's pork producers are committed to sustainable production of safe, healthy pork for you and your family. For recipes and more, visit saskpork.com and follow us on Twitter and Facebook.
Welcome back. It is Cooked with Shaq. I am Shaq. He is Harrison. Today, it's more of a technique type of show today. I mean, we've got a couple of recipes.
Yes, yeah.
But it's more the method rather than the madness. Well, there's probably a little of that too.
Yeah.
But anyhow, we just finished doing risotto. That is one way of cooking rice, which is the arborio rice, which is very high in starch. And as you keep adding more and more liquid, it keeps getting softer and softer, and it thus leaches all the starch out. It makes a nice sauce that you can do with a little butter, some salt and pepper, of course the chicken stock in there and all that. So that's all done. Here, take a look at it right here. There it is right there.
Oh,
That is a beauty mess of goodness. Anyhow,
Okay.
our next technique is, again, as Harrison alluded to my frugalness.
Frugal is a good word.
He said cheap. It's okay. I'm okay with that. I'll own that. Thank you. We're talking about sous vide. Well, sous vide is not what we're doing. But it's our take on it. It's my take on sous vide because, like I say, I'm too cheap to buy the thing that makes the water exactly the right temperature. So what we're doing is we're going to, hopefully this water stays close to the right temperature. And it's a low and slow process, but we're going to do Italian ribs today, pork ribs.
Okay, right on.
So we're going to start off with the sauce. We're going to get that going right now. So this is, the whole technique is, if you're wondering what this is what we're cooking the ribs in. A regular old Ziploc bag.
Fancy.
Now I would suggest the freezer ones because they're heavier, and also look for the ones that say BPA free.
BPA.
I don't know what that means, but it's bad. So so you don't want to put your ribs in something that's going to leach out some kind of weird chemical that's going to give you a third eye, right, later on. So that's what we're...
Okay,
this
I
is
will look for that next
no
time.
BPA. Polyurethane, no BPA. That's what this one is. We're good to go. All right, so now we're going to get the Italian sauce ready to go. We're going to start off with a little bit of Italian mix. This is Italian seasoning. It's got everything. It's got your basil, it's got your oregano, it's got your thyme, it's got all that stuff in there. So we're going to start off with that dry mix. Now we're going to add some olive oil. You know, around here we like to do things big. So when I buy olive oil, I don't usually buy just a little. I go right to the source.
Do you go to Costco?
No, I went to Greece.
Oh, wow.
And I bought some olive oil. So anyway, there's...
Okay.
So that's the olive oil can right there.
Jeez.
Yeah. So we're going to just put a little, that's extra virgin olive oil in there. We're going to get that in.
Now that looks expensive.
Well, it was, the trip was. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
All right.
It goes off to Greece, but hey, we're going to put ribs in a bag. I'm just saying.
He's funny, isn't he? Anyway, we're going to put a little garlic in there. We're going to do a little salt and pepper. That's a good enough salt. Lots and lots and lots of pepper in there.
For sure.
We are going to throw a lemon because you need to have a little bit of acidity. And you're going to put that lemon in there like that. And then what we're going to do, just to enhance it a little bit, I know that I guess this is a cheat. This is a bit of a cheat.
Okay.
But we don't have a whole lot of liquid in there to coat all of the ribs, right?
Yeah.
And so what we want to do is have a little bit extra liquid just so everything gets sloshed around. So we went to the store, bought some Italian salad dressing. Whoa! Nobody heard that.
Okay.
So we're going to take the lid off of that.
Take the label off and, yeah.
And the Italian, a little bit of Italian, just a little. That's all you need. That's all you need right there. You just need that little extra liquid to coat everything. That's all. And you might as well use a liquid that's got flavoring.
That's true, I guess. Yeah.
Just a bit of a cheat.
All right.
Now, what we're going to do here is that's going to let that sit. So that's all good to go. Now over here we have our pork ribs. Now this isn't a great cut of pork rib, and the reason why I bought not the greatest cut is because I wanted to show you that when you put in the bag and the seasoning and you put it in the hot water, all the juices cook in its own juices. All the flavoring and everything stays in the bag until it's nice, and it will melt in your mouth when it's done. Fall off the bone.
All right.
But first we have some surgery to do.
That's right.
Now, there's always, of course, that membrane. Remember I was telling you about the membrane?
Yes, I always take
and
this
this
off.
is indigestible, so don't ever, I mean, you can, some people...
I definitely prefer taking this off.
But I just take it, and a lot of times it's pretty darn easy.
I find it's easier with a paper towel. Just take a little bit of paper towel.
Are you kidding me?
Well, I got a little trick. Oh, Shaq, just step aside.
Okay.
Grab the paper towel. And then just take that corner and it'll rip right off.
You are not kidding me.
I'm telling you, man.
You're kidding me? What do you mean? So like a grip it with the paper towel?
Yeah, you grip it. This is something you can grip with.
Look at this. Harrison James.
I don't just play a six string, folks.
Holy, he is a membrane man.
Insane.
He is
insane in the membrane.
He's a member of the membrane membership. And he's look at that.
Look at the grip on that.
Look at that grip.
Look at the grip.
It's a grip. Grip it or rip it. This comes right
like
off.
That. Yeah.
You.
Stick around, my friend. Stick around.
Another mic drop moment.
Well, you know.
Mr. Membrane Man.
I've known this for a number of years, but I have always enjoyed watching you struggle.
Okay.
A little bit.
All right. Now we're going to cut it all into sections here. All right. Now we're not even going to season up the ribs because you got all the seasoning in the bag. So you're going to take this, and we're going to take all of our pieces of ribs, get in there, like that. And like that, and like this.
The dog's getting closer to you.
I know she is. My dog, Lucy, is wanting these ribs real bad.
Just can smell those ribs. Yes.
Okay, so now that we've got this all done, we're going to take it and we're going to dump it into the bag, just like that, right? And that's all done. And what we're going to do is, first off, don't burp it yet, because we need to get all the stuff, so you need all that air in there to get, so there's space. And you're going to massage all that good stuff in there.
Now, would it be good to leave it in the fridge for a little while, or does it really
if
matter?
you want, you can marinate, let it sit and marinate for a while, but you don't really need to, because again, it's going to be cooking for a long time. Right?
That's true. Okay.
It's going to be cooking for a while.
Yeah.
And so it's all going to be and cooking in its own juice again, right?
I was trying to find another way to have an extra nap or something.
Oh,
you know?
I see. You're into the naps. Huh? Yeah, I get that. Now, here's the thing. You want to get all the air out that you can. So you're going to open that up a little bit. And you're going to squish, and you're going to squish, and you're going to squish until you can't squish no more. But here's a little trick.
Oh, we got a trick coming in.
Yeah, you think your little paper towel trick was the trick of the day?
All right.
I'll tell you what, Mr. Man. Watch this.
Don't suck up any raw meat.
No, I'm not sucking it right.
Vacuum sealed by the shack.
I did inhale some sage.
Well, I'm wondering, did you get? What did you get?
We're okay.
Uh-huh.
We're good.
You
But
got
see, look at
something
that.
there.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Sucked up air.
Okay.
Not an air in there. Okay. All right. Now we're having some fun. All right. So now it's all in there. Look at that. It's all ready to go. You got maximum contact with the sauce. You're going to drop it right into your. Oh, one thing I was going to do first. I wanted to show you this first, because a lot of times, you don't want that bag to be completely on the bottom of the pot, because it's right next to the heat. You don't want it to melt. So what I do, this side up. If you go this side, you'll never get it out of there. This side up. Stick it in the pot, down it goes. And then that will keep it, it'll insulate it from. Now, being that there's no air in the bag, it drops right down. It doesn't float. So now what we do is we just let that go, about medium heat. 2 hours, baby. 2 hours.
Good night.
2 hours, and you'll be eating the best ribs ever. However, when they're done, they don't look great. Little gray, not great looking. What we do is stick them in the pan or in the oven, brown them up. We'll be right back on Cook with Shaq. We're gonna wrap this baby up.
Sponsored by Sask Pork. Saskatchewan's pork producers are committed to sustainable production of safe, healthy pork for you and your family. For recipes and more, visit saskpork.com and follow us on Twitter and Facebook.
Look at that, Mr. Percussion.
Don't need castanets.
That's right.
Got tongues. All right, so we're back. Cook with Shaq. Thanks for joining us. Harrison, I'm Shaq. We're just about ready to wrap this up, and we're about ready to plate this up. But first, I got to show you, we did 2 techniques today. We did risotto, slow cooking risotto. Keep adding, keep stirring. Remember that. We also did my cheap version of the sous vide, which is not the sous vide at all, but kind of sort of. You use a bag and water. That's the type of technique we used. So this is what you get when you have 2.5 hours of having that those ribs in a bag with all the seasoning. See how all the seasoning stayed on, and it all
looks great.
Works. Now watch this. Just watch this. Oh!
Just right off.
The bone just fell off.
Look at that.
That's how tender these things are. Remember that the ribs that I had were not the greatest quality. Well, quality they were good.
Yep.
But not the best, the most tenderest cuts of ribs. Now they are. You can serve this anytime, any place. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some of our risotto, and I mean, you can spoon it out with a spoon. You can do whatever you want. I am going to use, because it's nice and thick, I'm going to use a disher. Look at that. I'm going to put a couple of shots of risotto right there.
So good.
And then we're going to, let's find a nice one here. Oh, here we go.
There we go.
That's a good one right there.
Good piece.
We're going to just layer that up like that. And I'm not done yet. remember the juice that was in the bag left over
yeah,
from these?
yeah.
You reduce that down. This isn't all reduced, but it's
Full of flavor.
Full of flavor. You want to put a little
That's, yes.
bit. Look at that.
Perfect.
Put that all over there. All in the technique, my friends, all in the technique.
Yep.
Learn one, different ones. There's all kinds of techniques. Always nice to learn a new one. And that's what we did here today. Risotto, mushroom risotto, and Italian ribs done cheap sous vide. It's Cooked with Shaq. Thanks for joining us. From my dog Lucy, who's really sniffing these out right now.
Oh, yeah.
And Harrison. Have a good one. Join us again next time.
Sponsored by Sask Pork. Saskatchewan's pork producers are committed to sustainable production of safe, healthy pork for you and your family. For recipes and more, visit saskpork.com and follow us on Twitter and Facebook.